If you do not have a coding portfolio, you're making a massive mistake. A coding portfolio is as essential to the job search process as a resume. In my personal experience, I've experienced over a 10% increase in interviews now that I've built a good coding portfolio. Today, I'm going to go through that coding portfolio so you can see exactly what you need to include in yours. I highly recommend you watch all the way to the end of this video because even if you pick up one single thing, it might make the difference in you landing that job of your dreams. Before we start, although I am very proud of my coding portfolio, I am open to any criticism, so make sure to leave any suggestions down in the comments below. If you want me to review your coding portfolio in one of my upcoming videos, please send me an email at swearcode@gmail.com. This is my coding portfolio. First of all, the most important part is that I have deployed this website online, available for anyone to see at this URL. I did this using Netlify because I wanted something that deploys automatically from GitHub, but there are plenty of other options available for you online. In my portfolio, I have 5 sections: a home page, my portfolio page, an about me page, and a work page, as well as a contact page. First, the home page is something that's very simple, but it's also colorful and beautiful, and it does intrigue any user to continue to read the rest of my portfolio. I would recommend not overdoing this, and remember that sometimes less can be more. Now, moving on to my about page. I've included all of the relevant skills for my position as a software engineer, which includes my languages, my frameworks and technologies, and my development tools. I have decided to portray all of these as bars. But keep in mind, these are not progress bars, and I highly discourage using those. If you're someone that wants to implement this, I want you to tell me, what do you think 50% of Java means? Instead, I would use my approach, which is writing down the amount of years you spent on each language. That way, anyone who wants to hire you can see exactly what your expertises are and how much knowledge you have in an area. For example, with my portfolio, anyone who sees it can know that I am more fluent in Java than anything else, but I also have lots of experience with Python and front-end development using HTML, CSS, and JS. Under my frameworks and technologies option, I have ReactJS, NodeJS, and experience with cloud computing and data management, and this is all something that's incredibly sought after in the job market. I also include a development tool subject, but this is not something that you need to include in yours necessarily. Personally, I've experienced with Postman, and I know that this is something that some recruiters will look for in particular. API management is incredibly in demand right now, and Postman lets you do that. Moving on to my work experience. Personally, I'm a junior in university, so this work experience section might not look like yours if you built this. I have had 2 internships at 2 tech companies, both for 4 months. If anyone wants to see exactly what I did, all they have to do is click on the job title. For example, in my most recent internship, I did a lot of work with AWS, and cloud computing is something that's incredibly sought after, so I decided to include these 3 bullet points on my resume. I also did a lot of work with Python and data lakes and cloud computing in my last internship, so I included these bullet points in that as well. Now, the most important part is the portfolio, which is where I show all of my side projects that I built outside of class. This not only demonstrates my willingness to learn, but also shows my passion for the field that I'm in. My first project is a Premier Zone fantasy project, which is just a simple fantasy app. I started by building a data scraping project using pandas and beautiful soup, and then migrated all of that data over to a PostgreSQL database. I then built a SpringBoot application which has Java classes that manipulates that SQL database, and then I portray all of that data with the ReactJS application. I also have this Study SmartBot app that I built with NodeJS, ReactJS, and a lot of APIs. I built this just because I wanted to help students study better. The most impressive thing about this project in particular, and why I included it in my resume, is because of all the APIs that I've used. API management is something that's incredibly sought after in the job market. For example, I built my very own chatbot just like ChatGPT using the OpenAI API. I've also included my Premier League match predictor project, and I believe this is something that's important because it uses machine learning. Even though it's not something special, it demonstrates my interest in machine learning, and that's another sought after area in this web development. Finally, one of my last projects is a very simple game using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I didn't include this necessarily because of the complexity of the code, but it's because I built it for a client, and that's invaluable experience. Finally, I have a contact me page. This is really important because if you want recruiters to get in touch with you, you need to facilitate that process. I have a link to both my LinkedIn page and my email. Most importantly, I included this box which allows anyone to email me directly, so if they fill out this form, it will go sent directly to my inbox. Now that you're ready to build a coding portfolio, I highly recommend you watch this video on 5 essential tips that I wish I knew before I got started on the coding portfolio process. If you found any of this video helpful or you just want to support me as a creator, please make sure to like and subscribe.